5 seconds. Quite understood. You're live.
All right. Good evening, everyone. This is the April 23, 2025 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. This meeting is being operated as a hybrid format under Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. The public can join the meeting remotely by telephone and dialing 408-650-3123 and then using access code 942-845-549. Or the public can join via computer at global.gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. So all supporting materials for tonight's meeting have been provided to the commissioners and they're available on the town's website. And the public is encouraged to follow along using the agenda that's also available on our website. My name is Michael Garland. I'm chairman of the Conservation Commission. Before we begin, let me do a roll call of our members. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Megan Langley.
Here.
Michelle Colross.
Here.
Mark Sclammo.
Here.
Ricky Arizmi.
Here.
Tom Fallon.
Here.
Okay. If anyone's going to testify tonight, there's a sign-up sheet next to Mr. Fallon. You need to sign in. Also give us your address. And also note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. So without further ado, the first item on our agenda tonight is the 7 p.m. public hearing. Robert Cusson, request for determination of applicability for the construction of an in-ground pool, concrete decking and fencing around the pool area at 250 South Street. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's a vote. Anyone here on behalf of Mr. Cusson?
I spoke with, through the chair, I
Okay.
spoke with Mr. Cusson. He wasn't sure if he was going to be able to be here, but I told him basically they were just going to be making the decision tonight.
Okay. Mr. Fallon and I had an opportunity to go out this past weekend to look at the property. He's already put erosion control measures in place. It looks like it was done professionally. The area where the pool is going to go is I'd say well outside any possibility of affecting the brook that runs behind his property. And so that's all I have to say. I don't know if anyone has any questions or any thoughts, but that was my impression having looked at the site. Okay. Is there any comments from the public? There being none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I move to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's a vote.
Want to vote on this?
Sure. Is there a motion?
I vote for a negative determination for 250 South.
Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. And because we are so efficient, we have a couple minutes before our 7 to 5 public hearing. Mr. Fallon and I did go out to 195 Rochdale Street. You may recall that this was the project developed by Mr. Delalis 20 years ago, perhaps. And obviously, the house has been well established. The wetlands are well behind the house. Although we did notice that there were blue flags still in that we could see, but my feeling is that given the fact that the house is well established and has been in existence for such a long time, although we normally do not waive the requirement for an as-built plan, I think in this instance, for the benefit of the homeowner who has actually had money held back pending the issuance of the certificate of compliance, I thought it made sense to waive the as-built plan in this particular case.
I agree.
Okay, so is there a motion then?
Motion to waive the,
To issue a certificate of compliance?
yeah.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay.
Have you sign this? Oh, wait, no, since he was-
We got 705.
Yeah, we're just circulating the
Oh,
certificate
gotcha.
of compliance. Something passed out of time. All right, the next item on our agenda is a 7:05 public hearing. Mohammed Ozdemir, a request for determination of applicability for property at 442 Leicester Street to repair a foundation and wall at an existing single-family home. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Okay, coin toss, flip? All right, we'll give it to Megan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, to vote. So Mr. Fallon and I also had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Ozdemir at the property at 442 Leicester Street. Must say it's the first time I've seen a house missing basically half a foundation in the back. But it's jacked up, it's properly supported. He has put in erosion control measures. There is a brook behind his property, but it's some distance away from where the work is going to be conducted. So it appears, and also there's a downward slope, which I think as long as the erosion control measures are maintained, there shouldn't be any impact on the brook that runs behind the house. So based on my view of the property, it was my feeling that it would not be necessary for Mr. Ozdemir to file a notice of intent. Tom, what do you think?
I concur.
Okay. So,
Could you say a little more about the erosion control measures?
So, there's a bank that goes down towards the brook. It's pretty steep, actually. And what he's done is at basically the toe of the slope, probably about maybe 15 feet from the brook, maybe even 20 feet, he's put in a fence, and I think he put in, what else did he put in?
The silt fence going along, I think the silt sock though.
And there's a silt sock, behind the fence. And it was well established. Any other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. Any questions from the audience? All right, in that case, is there a motion to close?
I move to close the meeting for
Okay.
7:05. I mean, for,
For 442?
yeah,
Leicester Street?
442 Leicester Street.
Okay,
I second that.
all right, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it's a vote. Okay. And is there a motion?
I make a motion, we issue a negative determination for 442 Leicester Street.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. And we have a couple minutes before the 7:10 public hearing. So we had received a letter, or I had received a letter from Mr. Schwartz on behalf of the Department of Public Works. They are looking for an extension of their order of conditions to do routine maintenance. And this is something that we have granted in the past. It appears he attached a list of notification to abutters. I don't know if there are any abutters here in connection to their request to extend the order of conditions. No one's...
Well, I'm Mr. Schwartz.
Oh, well, Mr. Schwartz, come on up. Nice to meet you, sir.
It's nice to meet you as well.
Okay.
Hi.
So anyway, you just want to kind of flesh out what I just said?
Sure.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to meet you all. So I'm the sewer superintendent at DPW. We have a standing order of conditions for all of our sewer easements, the off-road sewers that go through buffer zones. And it's been sort of extended the past several years, so we're looking to do that again. And I just sort of generally wanted to get an understanding of what the expectation is when we do regular maintenance in those areas. What threshold you want to see for us to reach out to the commission, you know, or clearing trees, clearing vegetation. I mean, those are the main things. But some of them are pretty overgrown, so it's gotten to the point where clearing is a
So,
bit of a bigger effort.
any idea how many clearing projects you may have?
We don't have anything lined up in particular. We have some easements that we are currently trying to investigate.
Okay,
I don't know if clearing is necessary on all of them. But yeah, well, I don't have like a
okay.
certain number of projects or scope.
I mean, obviously, from our point of view, we don't want any degradation of any adjacent wetlands. So if you're going to be clearing out brush, the expectation would be that you'll remove it and dispose of it, not in a wetland,
Right.
among other things. You know, depending on what your projects are, I mean, maybe just an email, just giving us notification. I mean, I've been on the commission a long time. Some would say too long. But I can't recall an instance where I've ever had to go to a project that was being routinely maintained. And again, I don't know what areas you're talking about specifically or how badly overgrown they are. So I guess if there's something that you think maybe merits our attention, just give us the heads up on when you're going to do the work. But that's all. I'm just saying an email.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a handful of sewers that we have that go through a wetland. You
Right.
know, mature trees, never been maintained, and it's like, okay, if we come through here and clear this out the way we should to maintain the sewer, I mean, it's a kind of big undertaking.
I understand.
Are you saying that we should file an RDA? Should we just reach out to you prior to the work?
I mean, I don't think, again, because it's routine maintenance, because
Yeah.
it's not development, but it's
Right.
maintenance. And I think under the act, I think you're exempted.
Yeah.
So for that reason, just, I think to give us notification, because from time to time, we will get calls from people that are, you know, that live in the area saying, did you know that there's a lot of cutting going down, you know, in the wetlands?
Yep.
And so if we know when that's taking place and where it's taking place, we can respond, well, that's DPW, they're doing routine maintenance, and that's permissible under, you know, the act.
Okay,
Something to that effect,
sure.
okay?
So emails to the
Yeah,
commission is fine.
just
Okay,
emails.
great.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Would you be using chemicals when you're doing it through the wetlands, or?
Not that I can think of, no. I mean,
Okay.
typically, we would be mechanically removing vegetation, you know?
Okay.
If it's maintained well, we can get through it with weed whackers. If not, it's brush cutting or even tree cutting.
Okay.
But we'd be removing the vegetation when we do the clearing.
I'm sure Megan's gonna ask you about invasive weeds, like how, or,
I mean, I guess I'm personally curious, just like what's in the original order of conditions.
Oh, well, we'd have to go back to 2011.
I have it with me if you'd like it. I can send it to the board if you
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, why don't we do this? I mean, I don't know if we probably have it on our records, although,
Yeah, 2011 is probably in the file, electronic files. If it's not, then I've got it in a folder upstairs.
so why don't we do this? If you can provide to us, or provide to Tom, if we can review it, if we have any questions, we'll get in touch with you directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay?
That'd be great. Yeah.
Okay.
No problem.
All right. Terrific.
thank you.
Thank you.
You're all set.
I'm all set?
Yes, sir.
Hey, that was great.
I'm going to pass this around. That's,
It's nice to meet you all. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
nice meeting you.
appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks.
The next item on our agenda is the 710 public hearing, VVL Realty LLC, request for determination of applicability to clear trees and light grading of land for future expansion at 5 Jerome Avenue. Is there a motion open?
I motion to open.
Perfect. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposition? It's a vote. Is there anyone here on behalf of VVL Realty LLC?
Yes.
Please come on up.
How are you folks? Evening.
Good, thanks. Can you just
Oh, yeah.
identify yourself, please?
Sure. My name is Vin Lee. I am the owner of VVL Realty.
Okay,
And this is,
Nick DeLitto, owner of Jam Corporation, looking to purchase that property.
okay. So I walked the site, and my thought was it's a place where mobile homes and trailers go to die.
I purchased the property a few years ago. Mr. Bucky Warren, who is the owner of Timbuktu, have killed many RVs back there for sure. Since I've taken over, I've cleaned it up fairly well. I would say I probably got rid of about 30% or 40% already what he got back there.
Oh, my God.
And so I am continuing to do that. Nick, a few months ago, came to my spot to say, hey, if you have some land, he has his company, Jam Corporation, actually, on Canterbury Street in Worcester. He kind of outgrew it. He actually did a park for you guys, I think, a few years ago, actually, in Auburn here. So obviously, he does landscaping and all that stuff, and he said he needed some room, more room, and I just happen to have some room back there.
Right.
And so when he came back there, we kind of started talking, and then obviously he said, hey, I told him I'm probably interested in selling the property, and we're here. But to go back, we are in the process still, and him and I did look at that, some of when we walked back there. There are stuff that we're going to
So
get
how
rid of.
does one get rid of an RV?
So you just kind of junk it, pretty much is how it would go.
Okay.
So you would call some companies that would come in. There are companies out there that would buy some parts for it. Believe it or not, it's a big business in the United States,
Okay.
RVs. Otherwise, we take it apart, throw it on like a tow truck, whatever it is, and bring it to like a dump site and have them dump it.
Okay.
Obviously, all the chemicals and all the stuff will be removed first, obviously, before doing that. I own a collision as well as a mechanical shop in Worcester for the last 11 years, so I know a lot about just taking care of all those things, make sure it's done properly as
Okay.
well. So, but Mr. Warren and I have been working on it. He's 82 years old, but if you have met him, he's walking around like he's in his 60s. It's unbelievable to me that the guy's 82, and he has no plans of shutting down anytime soon.
Okay, good for him.
Yeah.
So I did walk the property.
Okay.
Based on my, and I didn't go all the way back, but
Sure.
Based on my observations, it's all upland, really. I didn't see any indication of any wetlands whatsoever, no wetland plants, nothing to indicate that there are any wetlands there, unless you have information to the contrary.
We do not have anything on there that tells us wetlands. We know that you guys share an easement with me off of Jerome Ave because I believe you have a pump there in that corner. And so Nick and I already spoke about this because of what he does. He's actually going to beautify it and create even a better path if there's drainage coming down.
Okay.
His plan is not to cut down all the trees going up. I think it's Warwick Street that's up there. I think my property runs all the way up there, and it abuts part of it.
Right.
That's not his goal. He just wants to go like 50 to maybe 100 feet back, and I believe it's about 300, maybe 250 or 300 feet back from where you saw those dying RVs, all the way towards Warwick. So he just wants to go a section back, and he wants to beautify it, clean it up, and make the erosion go into the dump site where you guys have piping there to make sure that it's kind of run properly. So whatever it is that you would request, Nick and I already spoke about that. He
Okay.
would do it and then some. So
Okay. So the pump that you're talking about,
yes, sir.
where is it in relation to Route 12?
Yeah, I can show you. It's-
That's the one we did a few years ago, right?
Yeah, it's a long time.
I walked down this
Yeah.
sideway,
Yep.
and there was like a stone
Yep,
culvert
it's-
there.
Yep, it's almost an L shape, so you would enter through Jerome Ave, take a right, that's where your pumping station is,
You want to see it? I can show you everything.
right there.
Yeah. And this is what,
Yes, that's my property, that's over there, that abuts and goes all the way up to Warwick.
yeah. Remember we worked back there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
vaguely.
So it's nice and clean something there, but I believe there's like piping that runs pretty much under here this way, as well as there's a pipe that runs diagonal this way. And I know that because when I bought the property, I had Graves Engineering look at it, and I was gonna build a 90,000 square foot industrial, and we were gonna take some of that down, and he told me that I can't build on top of that pipe because you guys have the right
Because
of
of the
way.
easement.
Correct. Or I would have to give you guys access, I think 5 feet on each side of the pipe. So what he wants to do is not building anything there, but just kind of take down some trees back here so there's a little more land to be able to use because of landscaping. So that's kind of the goal that we want to go to and just kind of ask you guys to do that. So again, this goes all the way up. His goal is not to cut down all the trees. I think we have to kind of measure probably somewhere around here. This pretty much where it would go, and then he would kind of just take care of, because it is kind of like a hill, right? So he would make sure that when there's water coming down, it would flow correctly into kind of the pumping station for you guys, so.
Yeah, when I spoke, and the other thing too is for the neighbors, obviously leaving a buffer for them. I know there's like a 25-foot buffer, but it's like, I'm not looking to be,
Right.
disturb them or anything, but, we just want to be able to have the space to, operate our business in there.
So, I
That's a
mean,
total
perhaps,
no build in the 25, I think.
well, what I was gonna say is perhaps we can put in language indicating that there won't be any activity within a certain radius of the pumping station.
Which we're okay with that.
You know.
I mean, this is, the pumping station literally sits on that piece.
Right.
And again, with the piping and everything that runs there, and we don't want to disturb any of that. Like I said, I couldn't ask for a better purchase, to be quite honest with you, and I would say the same thing for the town of Auburn, because you have a guy, like I said, you guys trust him enough to do your part a few years ago, and he does a lot of municipalities. I don't want to speak on his behalf, but obviously he does a really, really great job. But I think if this anything, it will actually help the town of Auburn, because he'll make it run a lot smoother, take care of it, and clean it up a lot better
Yeah, 'cause I
than what
spoke to
it
the
is right now.
DPW about this too, so they were actually, I think we had another meeting, the initial hearing, and they were all in it, and they were kind of happy that this would be going on, because if they ever needed to get access to
Sure.
the pipe, at least they can get access, as well as, right now, nothing's being maintained over there, so,
Okay, right,
so if,
that's overground.
right.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I understand when you, obviously, if you're taking stumps or whatever you're doing, you gotta get, put a plan in place,
Mhm.
and present that to the DPW as well. So they're gonna give you a whole watershed and all of that as well.
Okay,
So I'm familiar with pretty much all that as we learn, but.
do you have any questions?
Yeah, there was all those Aphrodites, right?
I'm sorry?
Is that the site where all those Aphrodites were? Is that
I
what
don't-
those?
It's not Aphrodite.
Phragmites?
Phragmites, that's what it is.
Aphrodite was the, is the
That's
goddess
right,
of
that's the
love.
goddess. That's right. Sorry, it's been a long day. But also, there was like that house that was pumping out more water from its basement when we went over there.
That's right,
It was like,
remember that.
you remember
It was into
that?
the culvert,
Right,
right? On the other side of
right.
the driveway. We're
On the
like,
other
"What's
side of
that?"
the driveway, it was pumping out, that's the only place that we actually saw water, was coming out of that woman's
Yeah.
basement.
Yeah,
There was a, David Carlson owned it before. You guys had sent him a notice because there was something like the water, something draining. He had hired an attorney, and the day before he was supposed to show up, you guys said, oh, no, you don't have to do anything. It's actually not you, it's actually the neighbors that's causing all this damage. So I don't know if that's the same one or not, but funny enough, that's what it was. It was like a neighbor or something that was pumping water, whatever it was, and it was coming to our property, or David Carlson's at the time.
yeah,
And it almost seems like he was getting punished for it. And he was upset because I think it cost him like $1,500 to hire an attorney or something. Come to find out, he didn't even have to show up and everything was fine. So,
well,
but,
yikes.
so,
okay. I mean, how close, in terms of your activity, how close do you think you would need to get to the pumping station?
I mean, obviously, I don't need to be going over here, but I mean,
Right.
obviously, if we come up with something that's, I don't know if there's a standard
Well, I only,
distance away from it that you guys require, or
I mean, I don't think there is, because this isn't a situation where there are wetlands really, so,
right.
I mean, I'm not looking to go
I
near
mean-
there. If you look at it now, I mean, I'm talking, I don't know,
I would say,
75 feet,
50
somewhere
feet.
around there. I mean, I don't even think we would.
I think you would probably want him to go near there. Because I'm telling you right now, right around, so the cement block, like a square where the pump sits on, that's fine. But if you're gonna tell him or use some language, which is totally up to you, say, hey, don't go near to within 25, 50 feet, he'll probably do that, but you can have a lot of overgrown, it's not like maintained.
Uh-huh.
And technically it sits on my property, so technically I would be the one that would have to maintain it, right, and kind of go through if it
Yeah, but
gets,
the pump station is owned by the town, right?
just that section with
Yeah.
where the actual cement, where it sits
Okay.
on, it's you guys.
So everything around that
It's
is-
all me,
is
right, so
yours.
when you go there and you actually enter through Jerome Ave and you go past Sparhawk, or the Sparhawk building.
Yeah, right.
There's a guardrail that sits on my property.
Okay.
So, right, so it's all coming back to it, not Aphrodite, but.
Not
so
Aphrodite.
It
Not the
goes that way,
Aphrodite
right.
thing,
Yeah,
right.
so I have gone in actually and tried to take care of it as best as I can in the last year or so. And this springtime, I was actually looking to kind of take care of it more, but that would be on me. But if you want to tell him and use the language of, hey, don't go within 20 feet, whatever, we'll take
Well-
care of it, I'm sure everyone will be happy.
I mean, I
All
think
right.
routine maintenance is probably a good idea.
Yes.
So I think maybe we can craft something
Sure.
along those lines.
Yeah, yeah, and again, I think I couldn't ask for a better purchase for this, because I think he's actually, the whole goal is for him to kind of clean it up and make it better looking, which
Better.
then I think would benefit you guys greatly,
Okay.
and not the other way around, but absolutely, yeah.
Very good. Okay, any
Is
other
it a metal
questions?
building?
What'd you say?
Is it gonna be a metal prefab building or?
I'm not planning on building anything right away.
Okay.
Obviously, it would be something nice if I was, obviously better than what's there now. Like you said, if you guys came and visited my office down there and saw it, like, I'm very particular with what I do. So like, if the trucks are parked the same way every night, I don't have a mess everywhere, so
Right.
it's pretty clear, pretty.
So you're gonna
clean.
use it for storage and stuff?
Yeah, just to store our materials and then be able to like, stuff off of jobs, bringing in recycling it, organic stuff,
Yep.
nothing,
He does a lot of trees, I think he just got like 400 trees delivered like the other day. for
Yeah, for the city of
municipalities.
Worcester, we plant like 850 trees, so we do a lot of work for the city and stuff. like
Excellent.
that. So store and stuff like, that.
Okay,
And to touch upon it, 1048, sit where Timbuktu is the main office in the building, it's in the front. So it's technically 3 addresses on this deed. 1 Jerome Ave, 1048, which is technically half in Worcester and half in Auburn, and 5 Jerome Ave, which is all of pretty much Auburn. He, I think, is looking more to build towards the front end, not the back end, because imagine trying to run a gas line or whatever all the way back there. I mean, it literally would be
Yeah, down the
an
line,
exorbitant amount of
ones,
money.
Or
sure.
take the building down that's there now or something and redo up in that corner, up and
Gotcha.
back there, yeah.
Okay,
The trees and stuff like that, you wouldn't be, well, I guess it wouldn't matter. It's not our jurisdiction. Never mind.
okay. Any other questions? All right, gentlemen, thank you very much, and we'll, in all likelihood, we will make our decision tonight.
Okay, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
All right,
Thank
thanks
you.
for coming.
One last question, so if
Sure.
everything goes well and everything, does this get, you guys do a write-up for it, saying that you have permission to do that, or how does it?
We will issue, depending on what we do, you will get a notice. If it was a positive determination, you have to file something called a notice of intent. I think based on the site conditions, I don't see that as a really possibility. So we would just give you a negative determination. We may put some conditions in there, but, I think we have a pretty good idea of what needs to be done.
Okay.
Okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, thank
appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And Nick, I'll have that tomorrow morning, so you can pick that up here. And I think I have your email, I can also send it
Yeah,
to you, know?
No worries.
Awesome.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Nice meeting you.
Take care.
Thanks, appreciate it.
We'll see you. So is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Is there another motion?
I make a motion to issue a negative determination for 5 Jerome Ave.
Okay, do you want to impose any conditions? Perhaps with respect to the pump
yeah.
station,
What
just
were
routine.
25 or 50?
Well, I think routine maintenance is probably not a bad idea. No alteration, nothing, I would say that the applicant can't make any changes to the pump station, but they can do routine maintenance around it, and they can't build within a certain distance of the pump station. How's that?
I agree with what you're saying and would like to also add those conditions to the amended
Okay,
determination.
okay.
Okay.
You got it?
You got it?
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay.
I'd just like to say that I like Aphrodite better than Dark.
I knew what you meant, though.
Yeah, I don't know if Aphrodite ever, knew what Phragmites were,
Yeah,
or
well,
like
hey.
Phragmites. Okay. And obviously, we have to do, take action on 707 Oxford Street South. We closed a public hearing 2 weeks ago on April 9th. We have 21 days to issue a decision, and so, because we're not going to be meeting within 21 days after this meeting,
Tonight's it.
tonight's the night. So I don't know if the commission had an opportunity to review. What I did is I put together a summary, sort of a factual history, and also a statement of what I think, which law under the Auburn bylaw and our regulations would apply to this situation. And not to belabor the point, but basically, back in May of 2019, when Tom and I were on the board, and you were on the board too, at the time, that property was owned by John Johnson. We had actually, I think, initially denied his notice of intent. He came back with a revised plan. We approved, gave him an order of conditions, but was conditioned on there being no construction within the 25-foot no-build zone, and a requirement that if that was going to happen, that he would have to apply for a waiver. There's actually a notation on the plan that really says that. And I'll just to quote specifically, waiver required from Conservation Commission to allow work within the 25-foot wetland buffer zone. He recorded the order back on May 14th of 2019, but Mr. Johnson never developed that property. He then sold it to Valdette Manfron back in May of 2021. Nothing happened until December of 2022, when Ms. Manfron, or by her proxy, Joe Goodman, filed a request for a building permit, which was issued. The foundation was built based on Mr. Du Bois's representation either in January or February, and then we issued our enforcement order back on March 4th. We have the meeting minutes from May 8th. It's clear to me after reviewing those that we did not issue a waiver. The order of conditions that we issued did not call for it or allow for a waiver of the 25-foot no-build zone. And so the dilemma we have, it's not a dilemma, it's just an issue we have is, I think it's, and even Mr. Du Bois acknowledged the violation. So we have to decide what an appropriate penalty will be, keeping in mind that that the owner of the property went ahead and built a foundation without obtaining or without notifying us or getting the waiver that was required. So I open up the floor to discussion. What are we going to do here? Keeping in mind, excuse me, should have brought water, that we have the right, and this is what our regulations say about violations. Any person who violates any provision of the bylaw, rules or regulations, or any conditions of a valid permit shall be punished by a fine of not more than $300 per day for each offense. Thank you, appreciate that. Now, in this case, if the violation is from the date that the foundation was constructed, you're looking at over 1,000 days, well over 1,000 days. I think a penalty is one thing, but a punitive punishment is something different. So I think the standard provision of fining per day probably, although we could do it, I think is probably not appropriate in this particular case. So what I have in mind is a sum of money that will indicate to the applicant our displeasure with the fact that they proceeded, in spite of clear evidence to the contrary, to build within the 25-foot no-build zone. So, any thoughts on this? Any numbers that you want to propose?
I don't believe that the applicant takes this board seriously.
That is correct.
Okay.
like, he does whatever he wants, and he has paid multiple fines to this board, and keeps doing whatever he wants to do whenever he wants to do it.
And just by way of background, this would be the third project that Mr. Goodman has been involved with. The first was his own home on 498 Rochdale Street, and that was probably, if memory serves, a good 10 years ago, right, Tom?
Yep.
And then also a house that he's building, and I forget the name of the street, Tom. if you know.
Mary.
Mayor Ave.
Yeah,
Maria Avenue, on Maria Avenue. And you're right.
in fact, he was paying that fine while he was building this foundation.
Well, the foundation was built in 2022.
It says 2023 in the,
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah, so Maria Ave, that was June of
Last year.
2022. But we weren't fining him until, we didn't get that check until the end of 2020. Oh, yeah, sorry, you're right, 2020.
What happened is that, and I know what you're talking about, Ecotech had looked at a different aspect of that lot. We actually fined him because, given that the size of the property in that lot, at the toe of the slope was a wetland, then Mr. Goodman did not take that into account, and therefore did not file with us. And again,
I understand what you're saying.
I take your point, and I think, again, it's certainly disappointing that this is the third time we've had to deal with someone who seems to ignore the law, at least with respect to, our bylaw and our regulations. But we have a situation here where, and I'm strictly talking now about the enforcement order. We have to deal with that first, and then we can have
But
a
it's not
discussion.
just him, it's other people that live on that lake. So that's stuff that's gonna go into that water that other people are gonna have to deal with because he pays no attention to us, or to them.
Again, the only thing I'm focusing on right now is the enforcement order. I'm not talking about the notice of intent. We cannot discuss the notice of intent
Until we get over
talk
this.
about the enforcement order,
Okay,
okay?
all right, so,
So my question is, I think a penalty is mandated here. I will tell you this, I think if it was, and I think, again, we don't want to be punitive, but I also take your point that this is not someone who just filed with us for the first time.
yeah.
And also in light of the fact that there was obvious evidence when he purchased the property, if anyone did a title search on the property, they would have seen the order of conditions, they would have seen that no waiver was granted, and looking at the plan, the note saying that a waiver was required. So I take your point. There's no question there's a violation, okay, for this particular project. My question is, what is an appropriate penalty in connection with the enforcement order only?
I'm not 100% sure what the enforcement order entails, but is it possible to do a fine and not allow him to do anything else in this town?
That would be the notice of intent.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying, let's
Yep,
take these
okay.
separately. And to your point, that's certainly something we can discuss, and we should discuss. So,
in your mind, what is so I guess for one, if we do issue a monetary fine, that still has to be issued on like a per day basis, right? I mean,
I don't think so.
okay.
I don't think, because I think in this case, it's been 3 years, okay? Well, let's go
I think
back.
I came up with 790 days about, because 360, February 22 to 23, no wait, February
You're right.
23 to 24 to 25.
You're right, you're right. It's
So I'm
not 3
coming up
years.
with, like-
It's 2 years and a few months.
Some, yeah.
All right.
So if it's like, let's say it was $5 a day, that's $309,050. If it was $10 a day, it's $7,900.
Okay.
But I'm just wondering,
Is
in
that
your
enough?
mind, it could be, well, I'm just like, what is to you a total amount that is not punitive, but communicates our dissatisfaction, encourages compliance?
So I think if
Half
we,
the cost of the land, I would say.
well, she purchased the land for $55,000. So we can talk about that in a second.
And if it were the max daily fine,
Well, $300 a day is,
that would be $237,000. I'm just
yeah, that's fine.
the bounds of.
So,
Again, I'm
but to
thinking
your
25,000
question,
as a deal.
Megan, we can issue a daily fine.
Yeah.
So,
When does the daily fine stop?
well, that's another good question. This is the problem. The problem is that there's a foundation there. This isn't a situation where someone filled in wetlands and could go in and then remove whatever they put in there. Again, I'm trying to balance the equities here.
Right.
I think to make him rip out the foundation is inequitable. I think that on appeal, I think a court might find that tearing out the foundation is probably inequitable. So I don't necessarily see that, I don't see that as a viable option here. I think what we could do is, in terms of setting the penalty, we could start it from a set date, and the penalty would be as of tonight. See, this is where you get into a conundrum, because now you have to try to actually take the language of the penalty or the violation and try to actually, make it fit the factual pattern in this case. So what's $20 a day
I
times
think-
$7.90?
That's gonna be, $15,800.
Okay,
I'm good with that number.
Wait, let me make sure I did the right one.
that sounds about right.
Again, it's not just that. It's like, it's the other people that are going to live there that are impacted by our decision here tonight. Like, we don't
Okay.
know what the runoff is gonna be on that. We don't know. They're gonna have to bring in other materials in order to finish the rest of that home, if what you're saying is true. And if he's taken no care, he's done realistically nothing, and I went to the site tonight, it's a disaster. There's a crate that's sitting on the edge, which looks like it's sitting there precariously, that could dump into the water at any given moment anyways. He's not going to be very gentle with the environment moving forward, I'm sure. So,
I
again,
understand.
it's one of those things that, it's like he just is completely unwilling to do anything. So maybe $15,000 will make him understand. We bent the rules last time with the last set of fines that he had, because he said that he didn't get it and it was
Well,
just
there
his
were
fault.
different,
I get it.
the circumstances were different in that
I
case.
get it. So we did. We brought that one way down for him.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion?
Yes, I just want to clarify, so have we established that the fine would start when the foundation was built and go to today, or it would go to whenever, when the notice of intent would be?
This is the problem. This is why I think, on the one hand, a daily fine is not necessarily a bad thing. But on the other hand, if there's no way to remediate the on-site condition, then it should be a lump sum.
I mean, I'm okay with the lump sum too.
Okay,
I think that's fine.
all right.
Okay.
And just so you know, what I would do is that I would actually do some sort of narrative on the enforcement order, and maybe we haven't taken any action on the notice of intent yet, but, so, do you want to make a motion?
Gotta do a narrative? That sounds intimidating.
It's not, just explaining the rationale behind our decision. And we don't have to do the narrative tonight. I'm happy to draft it and I can circulate it.
I like that.
I figured you would.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion? Don't be shy.
Okay. So I don't know exactly what I would be making a motion for if we don't have a narrative to vote on. Sorry.
I think the motion can be limited to, how much do you want to fine him?
Okay. I make a motion that we fine the owner. It would, I mean, we're fining the owner, right?
It's the owner,
Yeah.
Valdette Manfron.
Yeah, we're finding the owner of 707 Oxford Street, a sum of $15,800, related to building in the 25-foot no-build zone without filing the proper
Request for a waiver.
request for a waiver.
Okay. That's the number you want, 15,800, based on 790 days from the day that the foundation was built to the present time,
Times $20.
$20 a day.
Thought we were just doing a flat fee.
We are, but I kind of came up with that number
Okay.
based on, that was my logic for coming up with the number.
Okay.
But actually articulating it as just a lump sum, so it's not increasing at a daily.
Okay,
Then
gotcha.
I
Right.
think, to your point, I think it has to be a lump sum, and I don't think it can be based on number of days, because this is not a situation where he can remediate the
Can we do
problem.
it per the square footage of the foundation, per the size of the land?
Oh, boy. I don't know what I mean, I didn't measure it, so I don't know what size the foundation is.
I can find that. I live like 2 houses over.
You do?
I live on that street.
I have the
The
plan.
problem is that we have to act tonight.
I guess I just don't, I wouldn't know what to base it on other than.
All right.
Scaled plan.
When they, okay. That's an interesting way to approach it.
Size of the square footage per the lot size, per maybe the value of the land, something, what is that combination?
It's 20 by 60 feet.
That's 1,200 square feet.
Yep.
Okay. Now, not all of that property obviously is in the no-build zone, and I'm not quite sure what percentage of that property is in the
It's
no-build
not
zone.
much.
No, it's not.
It's not much, but
It's-
they did the whole foundation without permission.
Yeah, I know,
So-
believe me, I understand. What do you think? No, this is,
I like the idea of $15,800
I guess I don't
as
know.
a flat sum, and because then it stops accruing.
I
we
would
don't
round
have
it
to-
down to 15,000.
Okay, fine, 15,000. And then it stops accruing. We don't have to, at that point, it's a flat rate. Stops accruing.
Is there a penalty for when it has to get paid? I don't know.
Well,
And
okay.
then that's a good idea. That's a good plan.
I'm
And-
assuming he's probably gonna counteract.
Well,
gonna try.
we can talk about what his options are, because again, this is the first of a two-part kind of hearing or process. So,
How many days left in the year?
okay. You want to make a motion, then? Is your just make the motion and see if you can get someone to second it.
I make a motion that we issue a fine of $15,000 to the property owner of 707 Oxford Street South for building a foundation within the 25-foot no-build zone without filing for a waiver and getting a waiver approved.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we, when we send that, have it so there's a secondary amendment to that, if it's not paid by the end of June, that increases by $5,000?
I would not do that.
No?
We have to do something that is not arbitrary and capricious. Okay, there has to be a rational basis for it. And believe it or not,
There is. He's
there
not
is
paid.
that's not the standard. I mean, there's a whole bunch of case law on this that sort of defines what arbitrary and capricious is.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I think we want to impose a penalty that that meets the violation or addresses the gravity of the violation, but is something that is going to be sustained if there's an appeal taken. Okay.
All right, then at the very least, that he still has to maintain that property so that the runoff isn't going into that lake or that pond.
Okay. All right. Okay, so therefore, you're saying, just if I can paraphrase, Megan's motion of a penalty of 15,000 plus, he will take steps to make sure that there's no erosion that goes into, is that a stream behind there?
Pond, I think.
Yeah, all right.
What is it? Which pond is it?
It's that very small pond by 395.
Okay, does it have a name?
No.
Okay.
Because I've looked at it on the map. And
Okay.
It doesn't have a name, so.
All
it's-
right, he will take measures to make sure there's no, that no sediment or other materials ends up in the pond. Okay, so your motion with your amendment?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Is there motion, so is there a second to the amended motion made by Michelle?
I second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote, it's unanimous. Okay. Now, the second part is the notice of intent. Now, let me just offer you, for whatever it's worth, and I think I kind of know where you're going on this, but if the applicant is told that they have to pay a $15,000 fine, maintain that property so there's no further runoff, and then if they're denied the right to develop that property, they're not going to pay the $15,000 fine.
Agreed.
So I had a conversation with Attorney Bob Hennigan, who is town council for the town of Auburn, and I asked him if the notice of intent could be conditioned on payment of the fine, and he advised me that, well, since that's probably considered privileged communication, so I'm not going to disclose that. I will say this though, just common sense tells me that if you tell someone they have to pay a fine and no, you can't develop your project, they're not going to pay the fine.
Correct.
Agreed.
So, one thing we could do is to condition approval or issuance of the notice of intent. We could actually vote the notice of intent, but hold it until such time as the fine is paid. And I get it, I understand, I know I know the policy reasons here, I'm well aware of the history, as I think we all are, but I'm also trying to be practical here.
All right, can we do a positive determination on that? Have him
We're-
come back and do a RDA? so that
No,
we
we're
can-
beyond that, he filed a notice of intent,
Oh, okay, yeah.
okay?
Yeah, That's
This
right,
is an-
that's right.
This is an
Sorry,
order
sorry.
of conditions.
I was confused, that's
No,
right.
it's all right.
All right. So we can do the full positive determination and then fill out all of that form, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I got you. All right, and then do all of the rest that goes along with it. Got it.
Again, this is just a thought. A thought would be, the notice of intent would, the order of conditions rather, would be issued once the payment of the fine is made.
So we wouldn't even do the order of conditions until we get the money
No, we would do
in
it
hand?
tonight.
Oh, we still would
We
do
have
the
to,
order.
because we have to make a decision within 21 days from the day the hearing was closed, which was on April 9th. So we have to make a decision tonight,
So let me just tell you what bothers me about that.
okay?
We do the positive with an order of conditions, right?
These are the options, okay? We can issue a negative order of conditions. We can tell the applicant he cannot develop the property at all, okay? So as I just said before, we've already approved fining him for the amount of $15,000. We've told him he's got to take steps to maintain the property so there's no additional runoff. And I'm just saying to you as a practical stamp, from a sort of practical point of view, if you say you can't develop your project, pay us the 15 grand, he's not going to pay us the 15 grand.
Okay. So he takes the order of conditions though.
If he doesn't, I will say this again too, and actually there's precedent for this. We do our standard order of conditions. As part of our standard order of conditions is an as-built plan, okay? If the order of conditions is not complied with, We have the right to issue an enforcement order. We also have the right to deny him a certificate of compliance if the project is not done according to the letter of our order of conditions.
No, what I'm worried about is that he doesn't pay the money, he goes to the zoning board, gets the building permit saying,
He already
here, I've
has
got
the-
it. Oh, he
well-
already has
well,
the building permit?
He has the building permit for the foundation, okay, that's all. I mean, I suspect that we can notify the other department heads to advise them that he does not have an order of conditions from us, because they will ask him if he does. You know, again, these are public records. There's gonna be, Tom's gonna prepare the meeting minutes for tonight, and this discussion's gonna be summarized at some point. And we have to, if the decision of this board is to deny him an order of conditions, it's a public record. It actually should be recorded. And so I don't actually see that as really happening, because then I think you'd be in there are real problems with that.
Can I ask another question? Where is he with Maria Ave? Is he building a house on that one yet?
Nope, he still has to go to the ZBA and either do
So he's just
duplex or
building
accessory
foundations all
dwelling.
over the town
The
of Arlington.
problem
not
with
doing-
Maria Ave is that he built a foundation for a duplex when that use was not permitted without a
It was a single
variance.
family was supposed to be.
He needed to get a variance before he did that. It's sort of like the same thing. He went ahead, he put the foundation in without getting permission to do it.
He's gonna do it again.
You know, so, and then of course there was the issue with us because of the wetlands at the toe of the slope. So, anyway, please,
Just,
help me here.
wait, I think I've already forgotten what I was gonna ask.
And again, I gotta tell you, I'm really sort of open on this. I've been kind of grappling with this for the last 2 weeks.
Oh, my question was, okay, is the order of conditions that we would issue a new order of conditions, or would
Yes.
it be an amended order of
It's a
conditions?
new order.
It's a new-
It's a new order of
Okay.
conditions. No, it would be a new order of conditions. I mean, there's a question whether or not the order of conditions that was issued to John Johnson back in 2019 would still be in effect now. I think it's an open question. I would submit that because they filed a new notice of intent, that's no longer an issue. This is a new order of conditions
Okay.
with a new property owner.
Okay.
And so we can impose whatever conditions we want to impose if we issue an order of conditions.
And,
And so I mean, again, this is an open discussion. So let's say we find him, we issue, we don't allow him to develop the property. That's almost certainly going to lead to litigation, and that's fine. I mean, you know, people have disagreements, and that's why there are lawyers, you know?
Yeah.
But my point, though, is that, you know, I'm trying to figure out the best solution for what is really a crappy situation. You know, it really is. This didn't have to happen. It did happen, and we're kind of left to deal with the wreckage.
Is there any wiggle room to prevent him from doing any further projects
Oh,
in
no.
the town of Auburn?
No, I don't think so. That we don't have the jurisdiction
Yeah.
to do that, you know? So, these are, again, these are the options as I see them. Issue an order of conditions without any conditions whatsoever. Issue an order of conditions that is conditioned on him paying the $15,000 before he can utilize that order of conditions, or issue no order of conditions at all and deny him the ability to develop the property at 707 Oxford Street South.
I'm okay with denying him the ability to build on 707 Oxford Street.
Okay,
The problem that I have there is, you live there, right? If he doesn't do anything with that, say he doesn't do anything with that, you've got a foundation now that's sitting on that pond that'll deteriorate, and now there's gonna be a problem, because now,
Seeing that he's an investor, I would assume he'll try to sell it.
oh, there's no question he's gonna sell it. He's not, he lives in, he has another house, he has a house. So I don't know, I think you're right, the intent was to buy it, develop it, sell it.
So he's probably going to sell it as is, at which point the next owner's
Well,
going to have
right
to
now,
deal with
I
it.
mean,
But at least they will hopefully listen to us.
That's true.
That's interesting.
Because I know if I was divided, I would listen to us.
It's not a bad point.
So what you're proposing, or what your suggestion, I hadn't really considered that, would be if we deny him, he'll just sell the property the way it is,
Yes.
and try to find someone to take it as is.
Yes.
He might find someone.
Because to litigate
And
it,
it's
would be money.
It's okay. I get what you're going with. As long as the person that doesn't buy it, don't know where our jurisdictions are, isn't a immediate family member of his, or
I mean,
a
he can sell.
business of his.
He can sell it to anyone
anybody
he wants.
wanted.
You know. But I think we,
That would be
you know,
a
I think
problem.
we could see through that. You
I
know?
would hope so,
We're
because
pretty
I would
astute.
sell it to my daughter or whatnot, and then
We're
still
pretty-
build it.
pretty
and-
astute,
Yeah.
I think. You know, the records are available online. So, all right. Again, we have three options. Ricky has suggested we just deny the project entirely.
Oh, wait.
I,
Okay,
no,
we could, yeah,
he
we,
suggested that. There's no motion. Are you making a motion for that?
I will, most
Okay.
likely.
All right, but you want to have, we're still discussing
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
could we put a lien against it for the $15,000? We've already made a motion for it. We've already made a motion for
Well-
$15,000, so now we could say, yeah, we don't want to actually give him the ability to build. We've already made a motion.
So, let me
For
tell you, let me
$15,000.
tell you a story.
Okay. I want to
Many-
hear the story.
Many years ago, and I mean many years ago, probably 25 years ago, when Ann Weston was still the chairman, and Dave Briggs was on the board, and Ray Torowski and Matt Smith, and I was much younger. We issued an enforcement order, and we recorded the enforcement order at the Registry of Deeds. And I mean, I thought it was a great idea. It has been suggested that by doing that, you cloud the title, and that can lead to potential litigation.
Oh,
You know, it didn't happen in that case. I mean, I think it's perfectly legitimate if you know, if there's a debt that's owed, and you can attach, you know, get a real estate attachment. I mean, it basically acts as a real estate attachment. And what that also means is that before that property could be sold, or before you could convey clear title, that lien would have to be paid off. I mean, I would tell you this, before I would go ahead and do that, I'd want to confer with town council about that. I mean, I think it can be done. I think there's nothing illegal about it. But I think there are differing opinions about that. I think the MACC, I think, has actually come out against it. But, I mean, I think it's perfectly appropriate. I do.
because he isn't going to pay that. And if we tell him he can't build on it,
Well, I mean, I think you
that's our
have,
best hope of ever seeing.
I think you have to give him an incentive to do it.
Weren't we talking about making a condition of the notice of intent that the fine has to be paid before?
Yeah,
Through the chair, that's what we did with Maria Raff. It
Yeah.
was-
yeah.
That order of conditions was, first special condition was fine of whatever it was had to be paid.
I'm
That was
afraid
the
how
very
much is
first
gonna
thing.
tear up that lake.
Yeah.
I have the pictures. Like, he's in it,
I understand that.
yeah. It's not a lake, a pond.
So I guess the question is, what's more important? Is it more important to collect the fine, or is it more important to just stop the project?
For me, it stopped the project.
Right, I understand.
I mean, I would agree with that. I agree with that, definitely. I mean, I've already made the motion about the fine, so I don't know if we can,
We've
Yeah.
already approved it.
yeah. So, but for me, I mean, yes, it is more important to protect
I
the
agree.
water body.
Okay. And you know, in terms of what we didn't discuss was the time period for it to be paid. And we can talk about that in a little bit, I think. But we can do that as a separate motion.
I'll second the motion. I'll second your motion.
He hasn't made it yet.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Oh, did you?
No,
Oh, you
Not yet,
did it?
not verbally
Oh,
out of my mouth.
No.
Oh, sorry.
I wouldn't know how to start, so I motion to have 707 Oxford Street.
To deny an order of conditions for 707 Oxford Street South.
To deny the order condition of 707 Oxford Street South.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? I'm going to oppose it.
Okay.
It's a vote. Okay.
So do we have three, four yeses and
Four.
one?
Four yeses and
Okay.
one no.
Sure.
You're a good guy, Mike.
It's not a question about being a good guy. I don't see this ending anytime soon.
I know.
So, and then with respect to the fine, again, how much time do you want to give him to pay it?
The fine, because of what I said, he's obviously,
We don't
Does he
know,
have to-
we don't know what he's gonna say.
Okay.
They're separate issues,
okay.
Right.
you know? What we've told him, or what we're telling him is you have to pay the fine and no, you can't develop the property. Now, if you were in his shoes, do you think you pay the fine?
No.
He's gonna try to sell it.
I don't know what he's gonna do.
He's gonna let it sit.
I
Like
don't,
he's letting the
I
other
don't know
ones
what he's
sit.
gonna do.
Yeah.
Through the chair, are we lifting the enforcement order?
We are issuing the penalty for the enforcement order. So, and actually, we're not lifting it because we need him to put in further erosion control measures to prevent runoff, because as you know, and I would encourage you, if any of you have not been out to the site, take a look, because as Michelle said, it's a mess. Along the sides of the foundation, there's erosion, it can go straight down, it can definitely impact
And I don't know
upon there.
which pitch
You're right.
his roof line's gonna be,
And that's gonna be the other
Well,
problem. That is gonna be the other problem, Ricky.
which is why I said what I said.
Yeah, I agree.
He's
So-
not gonna take care of that property
All
in
right.
the end.
Again, I need a motion with respect to the enforcement order of how much time he can be allowed, he will have in order to pay it.
I'm okay with 6 months.
6 months? Okay. Any discussion? All right, in that case, is there a motion to that effect? Sir?
I motion to have a time frame for the $15,000 fee for 6 months.
Okay, is there a second?
And in that time, he, again, still has to maintain the property.
That's gonna be in the enforcement order.
Okay,
It's
all
the
right,
fine and
fine,
also
okay.
to stabilize the site.
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, it's a vote. It's unanimous. Okay. All right. So I think a narrative is going to be necessary, so I will work on that. But, so we've issued, or we're not going to issue order of conditions, so it's a negative order of conditions. We have made a decision within the 21-day period, so. Is there any new business?
Just meeting minutes?
Oh, yeah.
April 9th?
Sure.
All right. I think I read it over and I didn't see anything.
Okay. I have no changes to the meeting minutes of April 9th. Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we accept the meetings for April 9th, 2025.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Okay. In that case, if there's no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's a vote. All right, everyone, thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate your counsel on this.
all right. Now I have to do yours, Michael. Sorry I wasn't there on Saturday.